Hello folks, Y Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very beautiful spring day. The name of this video is called The Y Guy Defines Differences Between New Age and Christianity. Now, you New Agers who happen to be watching this or adhere to that kind of philosophy, I'm not going to offend you with this video. I don't believe I will. Because I'm one who believes that the Spirit of God dwells in all mankind. Now that sounds like a New Age thing, but you got to tell me, where does life come from if not from God? And I have to base it on that there would be no life without Him. And that goes for my atheist friends as well. Anyway, that's kind of ironic. Beside the point. Anyway, someone asked me to do a video in regards to a post that I once did on Facebook, where I said I was not into the New Age or New Age religion or Eastern mysticism. And, the same person asked me to explain what it is that makes each of them different from believing in Jesus. And he stated, and I quote, "I love Jesus, but still try to understand the difference, since God is love. Jesus is love, so what are the separating differences?" And I understand I relate where he comes from, because there's an awful lot of love that comes from New Age people. And people who believe in Eastern mysticism, like Buddhists and what have you. Tons of love coming from them. Okay, so I understand and I relate. So much of what I'm about to say about all this is only my opinion, and this is how I responded to this gentleman who asked my opinion. But if you simply Google Eastern mysticism and New Age beliefs, you just might understand where I'm coming from on this video. Okay, there's a huge difference. If you want to, in reference to Eastern mysticism and New Age, there's a huge difference between those two from what Jesus said, or what was recorded as Jesus saying, and you can choose to believe he said this or not, where he said, "I am the," and the word "the" means only, okay? I am the only way, the only truth, and the only life, and no one comes to the Father but through me, okay? Both Eastern mysticism and New Age religions are based on eclecticism. Did I say that right? Eclecticism? Which means, quote, "the practice of deriving ideas, style, or taste from a broad and diverse range of sources," close quote. By this definition alone, it would make Jesus out to be one of many, many ways, rather than the only way. Are you starting to relate where I'm coming from? The differences? So I want to share a true story of what actually happened. Years ago, my wife and I owned a music store where we taught music out of it, as well as renting instruments and, all of that kind of stuff. And so this video that I'm doing reminds me of when a Buddhist missionary, and I think he was from Hawaii, because he had that strong Hawaiian accent and look about him, original look. And so what I'm going to imitate him in his dialect and his accent, not to make fun of him. I want to make that very clear. Okay? Because I just don't go there. All right? I don't do that. But anyway, he said, he approached me one day at the counter, and he says, "So, what you think about Buddha?" And my response to him immediately was, "Well, what does Buddha think about Jesus?" He said, Buddha say Jesus was a good man and will be reincarnated into something better." And then I responded to him by saying, "Well, Jesus couldn't have been a good man." And boy, did I get his attention with that statement, okay? And I continued by saying, according to Buddha, Jesus had to be a liar, because Jesus said he was the only way, the only truth, and the only life. And Buddha does not agree with that. Well, this missionary shortly, he shortly left after that statement, and he's obviously offended because he slammed the door on his way out. So, do you see, folks, with both Eastern mysticism and New Age religions, no person in those religions can agree on which path, because of the diversity, okay? Because they're so convoluted with philosophy and their versions of doctrines of men. However, I will admit that they both, people who practice Eastern mysticism, Buddhism, and New Age, and what have you, they're both jam-packed with love on the average, okay? And that's what can be confusing to followers of Jesus, because Jesus was and is jam-packed with love too, you see? So I will also admit that when it comes to convolution and philosophy and doctrines of men, Christianity is just as bad, if not worse. However, there's an upside to it. All Christians, though, okay, rather than so diverse as New Agers are, where they can't agree on anything, Christians all agree that Jesus is the only way, the only truth, and the only life. Even though they hypocritically insert their free will into the mix, and so much for only, because their free will is part of it. So it's not only Jesus, but it's Jesus and their free will. Are you catching me? Anyway, that was just a little extra tidbit. So in closing this video, be aware and don't get Eastern mysticism mixed up with the term mystic, because mystic is defined as, and I quote, "A mystic is a person who seeks by contemplation and self-surrender to obtain unity with or absorption into the deity," close quote. Now, on the surface, I don't see anything wrong with that. Do you? Now, that's on the surface. There might be more to it that I most certainly wouldn't agree with, but anyway. I hope that this shed a little bit of light on, I figured if this guy asked this question of me and he wondered that, I'm just assuming maybe my YouTube audience might be thinking the same thing, or might have crossed your mind, and I thought I would throw it out there. So look me up on Facebook under a private group called the Why Guy Group, and I have an avatar name of an open timeline under the name of Jonathan Jones. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you're going to leave a comment, and just do the name calling. Come on, guys. Not most, it seems like all of you people who do the name calling and the slander on my videos, you're all Christians. Who does that make sense to? You got love living inside of you. That makes no sense to be noisy gongs and clanging cymbals. Even though you think you're speaking the truth, you're not when you're slandering someone. So anyway, well, that was a little extra addition to the free of charge. No, anyway, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, like I said, and if you are going to leave a comment, make it polite. You don't have to agree with me, but make it polite. And if it's not polite, I'll just simply delete it if you're going to do that other kind of crap. Anyhow, consider supporting this channel too with Patreon and coffee. Thank you for viewing.